Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you know what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard! Welcome to a new episode of Krazy Train Podcast. This week's guest you may have seen in OVW Wrestling, JCW Wrestling, and the TV show Wrestlers. Let us welcome to the show the amazing Maria. Thank you so much for joining me. And I have to say, seeing you in JCW Wrestling was a complete delight, Maria, because I've heard all these great stories about you in OVW.
Oh, I was like, great, or no, I'm just kidding.
No, all good stories. And I want to go back to the origins of wrestling with you. What even brought you into the wonderful world of wrestling?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so people like to ask me this, and I'm like, listen, I've been a pro wrestling fan, like most everybody, my entire life, right? But I literally have to say, pro wrestling saved my life. And it's true. When I was young, like by 21, I had two small kids, like two babies, right? In diapers, a 2-year old and a newborn. And I didn't have help of any kind. I was doing this all by myself and struggling. And so, like, I went down some pretty not so savory paths to make sure that I provided for my kids. And wrestling was always there. But then I wound up in jail. I wound up away from my kids for almost a year. Um, that was terrible. And then, so when I got out of that situation, I moved back to my home where I grew up. It's like country bumpkin, redneck, out of the way, can't get in trouble lifestyle, right? And I was just busting my ass, like working a dead end job, like, and wrestling was always there, but I had these two young kids, and I couldn't, like, I was like, I didn't want to be the kind of mom that would just find somebody to drop them off on. So I put it on the back burner, and then finally in like 2008, I started doing photography for this local indie promotion that was about 45 minutes away from where I was living. And I did that for about 3 years. And Haley, God love her, she knew how much, because she's just like me. She's like 100% carbon copy of her mother. She would deny it sometimes. I think she gets it a little bit now. She was about 8 years old. She was in, like, going with me to do photography shoots and stuff. And she's like, Mom, you really want to do this. So you should just train. You should just do it. And Haley gave me that little push that I needed to, go ahead and start. I didn't start training until I was
Oh,
30.
gee.
I was 30 years old when I started wrestling. Um, but yeah, like, I just didn't want to drag my kids or, back and forth out at late hours of night and stuff like that when I was younger. And I didn't want to drop them off on people. So I waited till they were a little older to be like, hey, conscious decision. Do you want to go with me or do you want to stay home? And Haley finally, gave me that push to just go.
That's so sweet of her, considering she's so much like you in many ways more than one. But you guys make the most adorable tag team, by the way. I love your entrance. It's so cool. Um, I'll get to that in a bit. But a lot of us have done things, and I would never say not proud of things anyone's done. You
Oh,
didn't kill anyone, and that's
no,
okay,
no.
even if you did, I'm
And
sure.
and I don't say that either, because, like, I say I learned lessons from everything that I've done in my life has, driven me to be who I am today. Like back when I was selling drugs, it gave me perspective, like, on how to take care of my money and things like that. Like, going to jail was even a lesson for me. It's like, hey, this is not where you want to be. Like, don't do the things to get you here. But yeah, I've never been ashamed of anything that I've done. Like, I always, everything that I do in my life, I take it as a lesson. And then you're either going to learn from it and grow, or you're going to not learn from it and keep doing the same patterns. And thank, dear Lord, thank you, Jesus, that I learned from my mistakes and moved forward, and hopefully taught my kids in doing that some life lessons as well. you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. And
So,
let me tell you, like being locked up in Saginaw, Michigan in the jail was not fun. But anyway, moving right along. Yeah, I still think country bumpkins or country bumpkin areas, people there could still get in trouble. But when you're watching,
oh yeah, there's nothing there to do other fish, fight, or fuck.
there you
So,
go.
there's trouble.
Affairs, non-affairs, whatever, people you shouldn't be messing with. Um, but let's go back to the wrestling. Who are some of your idols or some of the people you looked up to when you were watching wrestling? Like personally, I like Miss Elizabeth. I loved Sherry Martel and The Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, Sherry Martel, 100%. Loved her. And she was always in my area. Like, so that was fantastic for me. Um, Eddie Guerrero, his character, his charisma, like I've always, for the most part, until I got in with WoW, I've been a bad guy like my whole career. And all of that is modeled after Eddie Guerrero's style. Like, I've never been flashy, couldn't do all the flippity doodads, but his attitude and the way he perceived himself in the ring and stuff like that. So I took his attitude and cheating style and mixed that with Stone Cold, and you have a baby.
Yeah.
That's me. I always say like Stone Cold, Eddie Guerrero, Rogue from the X-Men, Dalton from Roadhouse, and Scarlett O'Hara is who I am wrapped into one person.
I like Scarlett O'Hara, very talented, by the way. Um, Sherry Martel was something else. She's the only person in wrestling I've smoked a joint with. I was so nervous to work with her. And it was Dave Hero, our buddy over at OVW, that gave me that opportunity. But that's the only time I've smoked a joint in wrestling. I just find it so hard to believe to this day. Did you get a chance to work with her?
I did not get a chance to work with her. By the time I had started wrestling, she had already like stepped out of the ring and everything. But I had gotten to meet her one time because, like I said, she was always in our area. And when she would come into Georgetown and stuff, she would stay with one of the local guys that owned a wrestler, worked in a wrestling company. So through them, I got to meet her one time, which was pretty awesome.
So I've got to ask you about OVW. How did you get to OVW? Like, what was that journey like? Because that's a great company.
I love OVW. I've actually been a part of OVW since 2012, I think, was my very first match in OVW. Started out as a wrestler there when Danny Davis owned the company. I got brought in, I think maybe to wrestle Jesse Bell for a match. And then they were like, hey, we run every Wednesday at the time. It was on Wednesdays. And they were like, we run every Wednesday night. We do TV here every Wednesday night. You live an hour away. You're more than welcome to come up. You can come do whatever. So I was in and out, like coming in, wrestling, and going away from 2014 till today. Occasionally, I still wrestle for OVW, house shows and things like that. 6-time OVW Women's Champion, so that was kind of cool. I won the championship in an Applebee's bathroom one time. That is a true story.
What was that about? Wait a second. Applebee's bathroom. Okay, you got to tell us the story. That
Yeah,
sounds cool. I love Applebee's, by the way.
yeah. So back then, I was actually working at an Applebee's in Georgetown, Kentucky, and the very first time that I won the OVW title, there was a bunch of fans that started messaging Danny Davis and messaging the OVW fan site, and they're like, "We can't believe you allowed a drug dealer to be your women's champion." Now, mind you, this is like 7 years after I had been in trouble. Like, I had tried to change my life, become a better person. And so I'm sitting up in the locker room, Jesse Bell and I, and Gilbert Corsi, God love him. He used to be one of our announcers, commentators, and things like that. He came up, and it was just her and I in the bathroom, and he was like, "Hey, can I talk to you by yourself for a minute?" And I look at him, and I'm like, "There's nobody in here but Jesse. Like anything you can say whatever in front of her. I don't care." And he's like, "Are you sure? It's kind of personal." And I'm like, "Yeah, she's like my sister. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be in the wrestling business wrestling. You know what I mean?" So um, he's like, oh, okay. So he's like, so we've been getting a lot of interaction from the fans and stuff, and they're saying that you're a convicted felon and a drug dealer. And it was so cute because he's so nervous. He's just like, "Is that true?" And I laughed. Jesse laughed, and we're like, "Yes, yes, it's true." You know, I'm an open book. Like it's public record. You can go look it up. And he's like, "Okay, so you don't mind what people are saying?" I'm like, "No. If I cared, then that was me. I didn't learn anything. Like I absolutely, I'm grateful for the lessons that taught me. So no, I don't care what people say about it." And he goes, "Okay, question number two. Can we use it in an angle?" And I'm like, "Okay." So they strip me of the title, and then like me and Jessie Bell go into this storyline to where she's like accusing me of being an addict and all these things. And like she goes out and cuts a live promo with like a specimen,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Yeah, I'll fight you for the title if you can pass a test. I have mine right here. Can you pass?" And I like kick it and splash it all over her so it looks like she got peed in her face, things like that. And then I won the title back, and Danny decided to make it under 24/7 rules. So another wrestler that happened to work at OVW with us at the time, he also worked with me, which is Haley's pops. If you ever hear her talking about her
Okay.
pops, Reverend Ronnie Roberts, the guy who trained
Uh-huh.
her. So he and I were together for about 7 or 8 years, and he also worked at the Applebee's with me. And so Danny was like, "Hey, if you guys can film outside of like OVW and do like 24/7 rules, that would be great." So Jessie came down, her and her husband at the time, to have dinner at Applebee's during lunch, and it wasn't very busy, you know what I mean? So I got someone to film it for us. We put a ref shirt on Reverend Ronnie, and like she went into the restroom, had her title with her, and I like came around the corner, saw that she went in the restroom, beat her up, 1, 2, 3, took the title, and that's how I won in an Applebee's bathroom.
I like that. As long as there were like no patrons there that thought it was real.
There were like two that actually thought it was real. They were like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And then the manager, like as we were filming in the bathroom, he had went out and explained to everybody that we were filming a small scene for TV, and please don't go into the bathroom and interrupt the scene. It'll only take like 5 minutes. And yeah, so but there was at first there were a couple people that like jumped up and like when I busted into the bathroom, and then he was like, "No, no, no." He explained it.
I wish I was there. But here's the hypocrisy in this business. A bunch of us have done felonies. There are guys on TV who've killed people. There's some of us who ran really elaborate art heist, for like $3 million.
Robbed banks.
Yeah, it was very sleek. The only other person that knows about this is Vince Russo because I told him years ago. But all I'm saying to you is it's awesome having a checkered past. Barbie has a checkered past. So it's cool. And we all learn from things. Maybe just how to do better the next time. Uh, I wouldn't do that. But I love that. I love the creativity in wrestling. And at OVW, do they give you an office job there as well in charge of the women? Because that's got to be a huge responsibility.
I came back. I wanted to see if Haley was training when Haley first started wrestling. Like she started during the pandemic, right? And OVW got shut down in Kentucky because Kentucky wasn't allowing anything to be open. Well, we were still running over in Indiana, which is right across the bridge, and Too Tough Tony was still running his school, his, everything. And but they were having like we were having IWA Mid South was having shows like just empty arena shows or limited people. We were allowed like 20 people in the state of Indiana, 25, whatever we could allow in there. That's what we were doing shows in front of. And when Al Snow owned the company by now, and when he found out that they could run over there, he went and talked to Tony and was like, "Hey, can we film our live TV so we don't lose, our TV audience don't lose having TV?" And Tony was like, "Absolutely." He was like, "I don't mind. Could you take a look at, would you care to look at a couple of my students and stuff?" And Haley and Billy Starks both got their very first ever match. They debuted at OVW against each other. Billy is the youngest person ever, by the way, to ever work
Oh,
OVW because OVW is always ran in Kentucky and you have to be 18, have a Kentucky license. And Billy debuted in OVW at 16 years old in Indiana. So
Whoa.
little tidbit there. Yeah. Then another one of the guys that were invested in OVW, Chad, he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, would you be interested? I don't know how much wrestling you're doing anymore or whatnot, but I know um, you're talking about having a knee replacement and things like that. Would you be interested in coming on board and helping with the women's division, helping, bring in the talent, agenting, producing the match segments, the backstage pre-tapes and things like that?" And I was like, absolutely. It's my dream job. You know, he's like, well, I can't pay you that much. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. This is what I want to do with my life. So this is a step forward in the position that I want. And that's how I started working at OVW. Is like, I book talent, produce segments, pre-tapes, things like that.
It's a good skill to have, but I have to say it's got to be, look, when I ran a promotion, it was so tough dealing with talent. So all the
Yes.
credit in the world to you, especially dealing with girls, because I mean, they could be very difficult sometimes, not always. But I'm sure you keep them in check.
Well, right now, I have one of the best locker rooms that I've had in a long time at OVW. Man, these girls, they're young. They want to learn. Like, they message me all the time, like, hey, does this make sense? Do you think I should do this with my character? And then they don't get upset like winning or losing. They don't get upset with having 2 minutes of TV time or 20 minutes of TV time. Like, I'm so proud of this group that I have right now. And like I feel like Haley, when she was there, Haley and Layla Gray, like they set the tone for these girls that have come in now. And I'm just so proud of all of those girls.
Yeah, and then I finally got a chance to see Wrestlers on Netflix. What was your thought on that whole series? Because I personally, I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Every time I watch it, I learn something different. Like I see something that I missed, the previous times that I watched it. But I think that Greg Wheatley did a really good job at telling everyone's individual stories. Um, the way it was put out, it made me look like I missed all of Haley's childhood, like due to being in jail. But I
Yeah.
was only in jail for almost a year, you know? But that's just like the perception it put out of me is like I missed her whole young childhood. I did not. Like it was a year. But a lot can happen to in a small child's mind in a
Mhm.
year. You know what I mean? So
Are you looking for a safe way to bet online where there is something for everyone, including yourself? Then go to betonline.ag where I am sure you will find something. Don't forget, it's betonline.ag for the most variety and the safest way to bet online.
and then that led to things that happened later on in life. But I think they did a really good job piecing it together, putting over everybody's stories, how they really like people kept asking, was this staged? Was it like reality TV? And I'm like, no. They were literally in our faces 24/7 almost for 3 months. They filmed 1,000 hours to cut it down to that 7 hours of TV. And my husband, he would get upset because like me and Haley would have to go in and out to WoW. And like this one time, um, I had just got off the plane and they called and they were like, "Are you back? Are you home? Are you off the plane? Like, can we come film?" And he was like, "Can you please just tell them no today? Like, can we just have today?" And I'm like, "Of course." So I tell him, I'm like, "Yeah, listen, like I haven't seen my husband in 2 weeks. Like we've been filming all this stuff." And they were real good. Like if you ask for a little bit of space, they would give it to you. And it's so funny because he and I had these plans. We were gonna go home, take a small nap, go have dinner, go to the movies, all this good stuff. We went home. He picked me up from the airport at like 2 p.m., right? We get home, it's like 2:15. We both sit down in the recliner together and fall asleep. Like 6:30, we wake up, we go have dinner, and we come back home and go right back to bed because I was so exhausted. But, it was that quality time with my husband that I got. So, they were really good about giving us that little space if we asked for it.
Yeah, it's such a tough thing with taping schedules. And I know with WOW, Women of Wrestling, by the way, I know a few of you have heard about this listening to the show because we've had Original Glow Girls on. And you're actually the first performer from WOW that I've had on the show. Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
almost had someone else on once before. But how did you come into that gig? Actually, first of all, did you watch Glow growing up?
I tried. Okay. Um, even I knew it was a television show that had wrestling on it. They were not wrestlers. There were like three real wrestlers, maybe four real wrestlers that were in Glow. You got Ivy and you know, gosh, it's been so long I can't even remember.
Kong,
Uh,
Asia Kong or something.
Aja
Yeah.
Kong. Yeah, there were three or four real wrestlers, and they put their heart and soul into it. And um, those girls were trained by the Guerreros some, and they tried to teach them, but it was that mindset of they were actors and actresses, same thing, because they were coming in to do a job, which was wrestling on a TV show. Oh, it was so bad. But I've met so many of those girls, and I have a good relationship with a lot of them. Um, I was actually, Haley and I were on the Evolution of Women's Wrestling at the Cauliflower Alley Club this year, and there were like five wrestlers and then five Glow girls that were on the panel, and oh, it got heated, but it was. If there's footage out there of that panel, you guys should go watch it.
I'm looking
You
for it
know,
tonight. Trust me, that's my mission. Um,
Man, if there's footage of that panel, those discussions were heated and hot. I mean, you had Malaya Hosaka on there, and I love Malaya with my whole heart. And yeah, it was something to it was a time to see. It was it was a good panel.
wish I went this year. Like I've been there before, and it's the
Yeah,
first time I saw Mondo Guerrero extremely drunk because he would take me out like to have something to eat or drink after we trained. He was like a teeny bit
right.
buzzed, but this was like full force. And you got to expect it. I mean, these guys are in pain. They put their bodies through too much, and they're around their friends. So yeah, you're gonna have drinks
Yes,
with your friends.
yes.
How did you get into WoW? Like, how did that whole process go?
Third time's a charm, I guess they should say. I was supposed to go to WoW in 2019, and I tore my ACL and my right leg. This was my third ACL tear. I had two in my left, one in my right. I was supposed to go to WoW once that healed in 2020. Pandemic hit, world closed down. 2021, December the 19th of 2020, I had a complete knee replacement in my left leg. And then Jessie Bell hits me up in like March, and she's like, "Hey, Selena and David want to bring you out to WoW now that the world's open and the pandemic's over, and are you ready?" And I'm like, "When?" And she was like, "Well, we're thinking July. They're going to send you, contract and all this good stuff for you to go over and read over, but the next dates are going to be in July." And I'm sitting here going, "Okay, I recovered from an ACL replacement in like 6.5, 7 months. Can I recover and make myself healthy enough to wrestle in the ring in 6 months after having a complete knee replacement?" So I had my knee replacement June or December 19th of
Okay.
2021. And then it was March of 22 when Josie Bo was like, "Hey, they want to bring you in." And she said July. And I'm like, "Okay, so June 27th of 2022, I had my first match back in the ring after a complete knee replacement to see if I was
Ugh.
ready to be at WoW on July 13th when they fly me out there to try to wrestle in WoW." And they were like, "Listen, we want you and Haley. We're going to put you all in a tag team. You're going to be the first ever mother daughter tag team to ever be signed to a company, to a contract. Da 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 da. We want you all to come in and be big baby faces." And we're like, "Cool. I can be in a tag team with my kid. I can hide that I had a knee replacement 6 months ago. I'm in." So,
Yeah, very fortunate. I've had a knee injury before from tennis, and I busted it in improv class once before during clowning. So I had my own set of surgeries. So I feel you on that. I don't know how you got back into the ring so fast, but that's all the power in the world to you. I couldn't do that. Uh,
my mindset when it comes to like rehab and stuff, I'm proving it. I have to prove it to myself. It's like the first time I ever did a death
mhm,
match. Like they were like, "Don't do death matches. You don't do death matches. You can't do a death match." And I'm like, "Why not? Why the hell not?" And I did my very first death match just to prove to myself that I
uh-huh.
could. and I really liked it. And then went on to do many, many, many other death matches throughout, 2017, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23. I don't think I did one last
Yeah,
year. So,
you got to make up for that this year. Maybe do two more.
oh, I did one last
Okay,
year.
then you just got to do one this
Yeah,
year. So, um,
yeah. I need to do one on the tour. That's what I was like. Back in JCW, my last death match in JCW was Shotzi and I
okay.
at the Gathering, and we did thumbtacks. So,
I get worried because I've hung out with Mickey Knuckles so many times. She was in Scotland working with a broken nose. She was at Slave to the Death Match last year working with a messed up arm. Then I just saw her in Texas a couple of days ago with a tube sticking out of her head and these bandages. And I don't think she'll ever stop. I think this is it. Like she will keep going and going. Do you have a limit?
no, I don't think I have a limit either. But Mickey is in a plane all on her own, man. I I fucking love Mickey Knuckles, and she like people who just aspire to have the grit and determination that Mickey has. Like it amazes me because she will go. I wrestled with I wrestled at the Gathering after I got bit by a pit
Oh,
bull in 2017. So I had 36 stitches across my face, and I wore the Cody Rhodes mask in my match that like to protect your nose from a broken nose. And yeah, that was insane to me. But to see the things that Mickey does, I'm just like, oh my God, she's insane. That's Auntie Mickey.
yeah, I'm ready to kill her sometimes. Not literally, by the way, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not literally, figuratively,
it's a bad
yes.
joke. But yeah, that's you've done quite a bit. Really quick, what was your first impression of your very first gathering? Was it more than what you expected? Like, did you even go around getting engaged with the activities and stuff and the antics?
So my very first gathering ever, I was working at that Applebee's in Georgetown, right? And I happened to be at work one day, and I get a phone call, and it's Pondo, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" And he's like, "Hey, do you want to wrestle tonight?" And I was like, "Where? It's already like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, where do I gotta go? Like, do I got time to get there?" And he's like, Columbus, Ohio, Legend Valley. It's like, or Thornville, Ohio. It's like 3.5 hours away. Um, I was like, okay, well, what's call time? Like, I will rush home, grab my bag, I'll be right there. And he's like, don't worry about it. Call time's not till midnight. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Call time's midnight. Just, get here. You'll have an envelope get your credentials at the gate. You'll have and I was like, all right, cool. So I go and I get there and I get my credentials to go in and everything. And it was like, I think I got there around 9 o'clock by the time I had gotten there and everything. And I wrestled Jules Malone that night. And it was the first time I'd ever met Jules, wrestled her, anything like that. And we had a really cool match. And afterwards, they were like, you don't have to go home if you don't want to. Like, you have credentials. Like, stay the weekend and enjoy the show. Like, we have more wrestling, whatever. And Pondo was like, yeah, stay, hang out. We're doing the JCW tryouts tomorrow. You can watch and see what that's like. And I was just like, well, I don't have anything else going on. Why not? I'm just going to stay the weekend. And there was a Walmart like 20 minutes up the street. So I went to the Walmart and in the actual town of Thornville. So I went to the Walmart. I bought like some shorts and tank tops and some clean drawers, some underwear so I could have clean clothes. And I stayed all weekend at the gathering, and then I went every year after that. I fell in love with it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Had such a great time.
It is fun. I think it was my very first time, and your daughter and I and Big Al judged a Mr. Juggalo competition. I don't think I've
Show
seen
me your
so many
butthole.
men's buttholes in my life, and I don't want to see it again. One guy lifted up his penis, and on his balls, he had toilet paper. So we had a good old laugh about that. Then I met a French guy there. I didn't get his phone number, though. But anyway, there's always another gathering to do that. Um, I love juggalos.
Oh,
Yes, and
100%.
I love juggalos. It's fun. That's
Yep.
when I met you this year, was at this gathering when you were up there helping out with the tryouts with Tony. So obviously you've been around JCW long enough to know that it's changed quite a bit. So now we have the whole Vince Russo era. I wanted to get your thoughts on where JCW is now versus the potential of where it could go. I feel like there are more eyes on it now more than ever.
I feel like Vince coming in is actually a good thing. Um, I know there's been some bad publicity about it. There's been good publicity about it, but everybody's talking about it. You know what I mean? Whether it's good or bad, everybody's talking about JCW now. And now everybody is going to know what most of us have known all along, and that there is a company out here, that there's someone who cares about professional wrestling. Like, Violent J has the most determined mindset when it comes to wrestling out of anybody I've ever seen. I mean, this man loves wrestling. And for him to keep, like, I remember being on the JCW shows. I didn't just do like the gathering and things like that. Like, I've done Big Ballers Christmas, I've done Juggalo Day Weekend, I've done Violent J had a JCW show for his son's birthday
Oh,
party one
oh, he's
year,
such a
you know, and
sweetheart.
just like,
His son is so nice.
yeah, and he was, I think he was like maybe 7 or 8 at the time that we did this. And like, I wrestled, Samantha and I wrestled each other for his son's birthday party. And then they've done other just like pop-up spot shows around Detroit and stuff like that. And then like at Pop's Music Hall in St. Louis. They say it's St. Louis, but it's not really Missouri. It's on the Illinois side. Um, but I've wrestled for JCW since that day one that Pondo called me in 2016, and been all over Vegas, Michigan, Florida, um, Tennessee, Missouri. We've been everywhere. And I feel like now that they are incorporating JCW in with the concerts, it's even getting like non-wrestling eyes on JCW. And according to mainstream wrestling, that's who they're trying to target anyway. You know what I mean? Like the not they what's the old saying? If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to be there anyway. So we're trying to get the non-wrestling fans to come and be wrestling
Yeah, and
fans.
they'll do it.
So, but the thing with Vince is he's literally trying to bring back storytelling, you know, not just a bunch of guys that are going to get out in the ring and do 4,200 high spots and then take it to the house. Like, that's not wrestling. Where are the stories, Where are the Bruno Sammartino stories that sold out Madison Square Garden? Where's the Stone Cold Steve Austin filling up coming in with a beer truck? Like, where are the actual storylines? And I feel like with Vince being there, there would be more stories and a little bit less, oh, let's go in here and do a bunch of high spots and, call it wrestling. Because it's not wrestling.
It's storytelling, but I feel as though what Vince has done was expose younger wrestling fans and people who may have heard about the Attitude Era, what Attitude Era would be now if it was still around. And it's I feel as though that's definitely what it is. And the funniest thing is when Vince was working for us, I was in Denver and I got a message because I'd hit the internet by that point, by day 2 of Denver. And I got a message from someone who I worked with before. Oh, is Vince Russo there? I said, well, why are you asking me that if you already know? I know you stayed glued to the internet like an idiot, just looking at things because that's your life.
Right.
Well, I could do better. Okay, yeah. Go back to your mother's
Of
basement,
course.
please. I think it's a blessing having him there. And are there any specific women that you work with at OVW that you would love to see in JCW or even in one of the big 2 companies or 3? How many big companies are there nowadays? I have no idea. I'm out of it.
Absolutely. Like, to fit in with the storytelling, I have a couple young girls right now that are coming into their own. Larkin Danielle, she's actually doing a split personality gimmick at OVW. So she's therapist Larkin and lovely Miss Larkin. So therapist Larkin is lovely Miss Larkin's therapist, and she goes in and out of it in her wrestling. And Al's doing a good job making her a therapist. So, do you remember Team Hell No from
Yes.
back in the day, Daniel Bryan and
Yep.
Kane? So she's got two gentlemen right now that they're kind of doing this with on TV, and it's really cool. Um, Noelle, she does a marionette doll
Okay.
gimmick, And so I would love, she's got a cute little look and she comes out like she's on strings and she, does the whole marionette doll and she wrestles that way. And I would love to find a manager to put with her and with a marionette doll. And I think that Noelle would fit so good into Barnabas's traveling circus. Like if he, because he's the ringmaster, you know what I mean? And if he had just a puppet that he brought to the ring with her and would help enhance her character even more, in my mind. What do I know? I don't know. But in my mind, like her having that extra person to show the audience what she's actually supposed to be, and what her movements mean and the reasons why she does the things that she does. And she's like a mean, possessed little um, marionette doll. So I feel like both of those girls would fit into JCW, and they have beautiful looks. They're beautiful girls. So I know a lot of the things like for mainstream TV, you have to have wrestling is an aesthetic business. Like you have to look good. You know what I mean? Like you can't be it's the 90-10 rule. 90% of the time you've got to be in shape, you got to be pretty, I mean it's just wrestling. That's just TV, that's just facts. And there's that 10% rule that's like a Kevin Owens who's not doesn't fit the mold of the general wrestler that's out there. So you have those in every aspect, but like all of our girls right now are very beautiful ladies, and any of them could thrive in JCW.
And I love seeing it when we know people that were somewhere else before, then all of a sudden you see them on WWE. Mind you, I haven't watched the product in a while. I have one friend I met through acting years ago, this girl, Thea Trinidad. And later on, yeah, she was out of WWE, but then she went back to WWE. I totally forgot what her work name is now. I just knew her real name. What's her work name? This is just so Zeta Valina
Uh, uh,
Zelina Vega. There we go. Yeah.
Zelina Vega.
So it was just really great seeing that whole journey from acting, leaving wrestling, acting to see what you're going to do next and going into WWE. So, hopefully, I really hope for big things for JCW. It's definitely weird being back in the business after all these years, but I don't discount it. And I totally look at it as a blessing as you do every day. How many days out of the year are you doing WoW?
The first couple years that I was with Well, we went in and filmed like everything in a month. So we would go out for an entire month and then film all 52 weeks of TV in that month. This year they're kind of splitting it up a little bit. They've already done some. When did I go? Last month?
Time's flying.
There, there's so there's so much. Last month they did 2 weeks, and then I think the next set of tapings are going to be sometime around March or April, something like that. So splitting it up, just making it easier and not having to do it all 52 weeks in 4 weekends of tapings. But yeah, it's it's a
It
lot.
really
It's a
is,
lot.
but it keeps your physical ability up and going. Yeah, I think it's great, and I love seeing you and Haley work together. I feel that it's different. It's something that's definitely needed out there because so many people discriminate against age. Obviously, I'm a lot older than what most managers would be, but I don't really give a fuck because I do whatever I have to, to play it off well. And that's the way you got to look at this. There's never an age limit for anything.
Yeah, I heard somebody review JCW from where we did Tough Country over here at Too Tough School, and like whoever it was, he was like, "Oh, Haley J's mom. Let me ask fellas, how many drinks would it take?" And I was just like, "Man, what the fuck ever. I don't see you out here doing it. You're reviewing it from your mom's basement.
Exactly. And he doesn't
Go
get
on."
laid.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, like I selfishly, as you know, you asked about who I would like to see in the big countries of companies. Of course, I would love to see my daughter in the big company. It's my
Yeah.
daughter. You know
Me
what I'm
too.
saying? I want her to succeed over anybody
Yeah.
out there. But if I never wrestled another day in my life, like I could quit wrestling happy, knowing that I got to do WoW with my kid. I got to do JCW with my kid. I got to do OVW with my kid. Um, I get to do like not as a team or anything, but I get to do NWA with my kid. Like it's amazing to be able to be, it's always like fathers and their kids, and there's never any mother daughters out there doing anything. Like Baby Doll and Michaela, Baby Doll had quit wrestling, years before Samantha. Well, Samantha Starr is her work name, but Baby Doll's daughter, she works at NWA, and they never really done things together, and then you got Paige and Soraya worked in Shimmer, and but they never, outside of a couple tag matches or anything, they never really did like work together throughout their, like, I've been a part of Haley's career the whole 5 years that she's been in the business, and we've got to work together and do it as a family and like be signed to a company together, and like I love that. And if I retired today, never wrestled again, I would be happy with that because I got to do it with my kid.
That's really wonderful. I think it's really sweet, by the way. It's kind of like making me turn warm because it's so cute.
I kind of love her a little bit.
It's cute. And I think it's wonderful you have a supportive husband. I mean, some of us have kayfabe husbands in other countries that just watch this shit from afar. Maybe they're wrestling over there and they think it's great, but they don't try to intrude their presence in being where you are all the time. So I met your husband briefly. He's a lovely person. Uh, he's very patient. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. He would have to be. He married me.
Yes, exactly. What was I thinking? Duh. Yes, I think it's adorable.
So it's so funny because everybody says, "Oh yeah, we know who wears the pants in your family," and I'm like, I do wear the pants until he needs to, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like my husband is very loving. He is very patient. He is very kind. But if he needs to put himself in a place to where like, hey, yes, I wear the pants in this family. That's my husband. He gives me all the room and the freedom to do what I need to do, and he supports me 100%. And if I can bring him with me, I will. If I can help him get anywhere in this wrestling business, I do. And he's the same way. So like, yeah, I think God just made this one for me.
I think so too. It was really nice meeting him at Hollow Wicked, and he was there while we were going through things. And, he was just there standing back, just listening and seeing what we were doing, not like judging, just he was just there learning, seeing what else was out there. There's some people that, as couples, it's very tough being in the business together, or if one's in it, one's out of it. It's like a happy balance. I usually wear the pants until the bills come, then I let the guy wear the pants. I'm too busy doing other
Well, he's a student of the game. He's been in the business. It'll be 21 years in December. So, yeah, and like he told me because I was busy. Obviously, we were doing our own things during Halloween Wicked, and he told me that Vampiro was going over a match with the boys. And Vamp asked him, he's like, "Are you two in this match?" And he was like, "No, no, no. We're going to school. We're
Yeah.
just listening, if that's okay." And Vampiro was like, "Thank you. Like, absolutely. You can listen away." And he says that like when he just does those things, he just steps back and listens when someone like Vampiro or Too Tough or Violent J or Al Snow or somebody's talking. You never know what you're going to learn, even though you've been in the business 21 years. And he says he learns something every time. So it amazes me. And then like Jeeves came up and he was like, "Hey, do you think your husband would care to work? Would he help?" And I was like, "Absolutely. What do you need?" And he's like, "We need to hand out CDs at the door." And then Jeeves comes back and he's like, "Hey, can I steal your husband or his friend and go do VIP?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So he's never afraid to step in when needed. Like I says, if he's needed, he's there, and if he's not, he just hangs back and does his thing and lets me do my thing.
That's the most ideal thing, is a guy that just sits back and lets you do your thing until someone messes with you, then they got to get involved. This is why I like keeping them in different
Oh,
countries, so I could just do whatever the hell I want. Um, but yeah, I had Jeeves on my live stream last night. We were talking about how he is the man of many hats at JCW, and you could always
oh
recognize
man.
Jeeves with those slippers. But I think James Storm was wearing those teddy bear slippers as well. He was clowning.
Yeah.
It was cute when it's on. It was really cute when it was on James for some reason. It gave him this whole other level of sexiness in my eyes. Um,
You're just like, "Oh, you're rough and tough.
oh
Oh, but you wear
yeah,
those
you're
shoes.
so cute. Can I
Aw."
just pet your shoes and see how big your feet are, baby? Uh, yeah, not that bad. So, what do you have coming up?
big event New York in Long Island. And then OVW, we have, of course, TV every Thursday night live. And you can watch it now live for free. Even our pay-per-views, our new owners give our pay-per-views away for free. Um, we have OVW TV. You can watch it live on Triller, YouTube. And then Friday night, the 21st, we have Thanksgiving Thunder, which is our November pay-per-view for OVW. That will also be live streamed on Triller and YouTube for free. Saturday, we have Harpo's in Detroit for JCW. And then the following week, we've got WrestleCade from Friday through Sunday in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Um, so that's always big convention coming up. And then in December, um, Blizzard Brawl. Dave Heroes got Blizzard Brawl on December the 6th. And then um, I haven't heard
Yeah.
anything about you was talking about Slave to the Deathmatch, Slave in
No, that
Denver.
was in
So
September.
Primos,
No?
or September, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, they do an Omega
Oh.
9 women's tournament in
Oh,
December.
okay.
Yeah, at Primos, and I've been in the last two. Um, I I haven't heard yet if I'm going to be in
Mhm.
this one or not, but I saw the date for it today. It is December the 7th. And then after that, we have the Big Ballers Christmas party.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's what's going on. That's what, OVW every Thursday. Other than that,
And for fans wanting to know about OVW, they say Ohio Valley Wrestling, but it's actually located in Kentucky?
Louisville, Kentucky. Yes. It's the Ohio Valley is Ohio, Louisville, Indiana-ish, but OVW is in Louisville, Kentucky, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. If anybody ever wants to just Google it, Hot Point Davis Arena. All the socials, ovwrestling.com. We have a website. If you go to ovwrestling.com, the website, there's all the information you need about if you wanted to go to school there, when shows are, the upcoming pay-per-views, who the trainers are, all that good stuff. So all the information is there.
Yeah. And Al,
And if you heard that beep, I
no, it's okay.
apologize. That was Al
Al's a
Snow
really
sending
no,
TV.
Al's really great. He came onto the podcast before and he has a very good school. Two Tough Tony has a great school. Congo Kong has a great school. They have referee Jeff Bundy giving referee seminars at Kong School, but definitely check out OVW Wrestling. Also, can you please throw us your socials really quick, which we will include, so people could learn more about you, hit you up and buy merch, or see where you're going to be.
Everything is at amazing underscore Maria. That's everything Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those fancy social medias, Blue Sky, whatever. Everything is at Maria. There's so many now. I'm just like, but try to keep everything together. So at amazing underscore Maria. That's me.
Well, you truly are amazing, and I mean that. Thank you for joining us today, and I will see you next week in Harpo's.